MBA Education's Lending 2021 Will You Change the Way You Work to Compete webinar. My name is Amanda Straub, and I'll be facilitating today's session. Before we go over the general layout and functionalities of the Adobe Space, I want to ensure that everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, please raise your hand by clicking on the icon that looks like a person raising their hand at the top of the screen. All right, great. Thank you so much. You can go ahead and click on that same icon to lower your hand. Let's briefly review the Adobe Space. First, there is a chat function located at the bottom of your screen. This is where you can ask questions to the presenters. They will do a Q&A period at the end of the presentation. Second, the downloads box located on the lower left side of the screen is where you can download today's presentation. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a short survey. Please provide your honest feedback on today's presentation as it helps us improve our future webinars. All right, I'd like to introduce to you Prashant Balapur, Senior Vice President of Product and Marketing at Nomis Solutions. Nomis is a fast-growing fintech enabling the world's most innovative banks and lenders to win and retain more customers profitably through its intelligent, customer-centric pricing platform. Prior to Nomis, Prashant helped launch and scale data-driven software products in a variety of industries, including consumer products, retail, travel, and transportation. All right, Prashant, the floor is all yours. And again, thank you everybody for joining us today.
All right, welcome everyone. This should be a quick audio check. You can all hear me, thumbs up. Awesome. So, welcome everyone. Another MBA webinar sponsored by Nomis, co-hosted by our great partners at Sales Boomerang. And the topic is Lending 2021. COVID 2020 have been a little nuts, a little crazy. It changed the way we parent, we shop, we communicate, and we work, right? And in our own industry, it's changed the way consumers interact with banks and lenders, the way they shop for homes, the way they shop for mortgages, and more importantly, what they need and expect from us as an industry. And all of you, lenders, bankers, are figuring out how to respond to that, innovating in the way we work, innovating in the way you compete. So to dig into this exciting topic, to help us sort of sort through this, I have with me two of the smartest and most passionate thought leaders in the industry. That's Alex, Physician, and I hope you got a name right, Alex. I think we may be competing.
You nailed it, dude. You nailed it.
We may be competing for complicated last name awards. So Alex,
to be honest, all of us have hard last names. Your last name and Joe's last name.
Right, a telemarketer has never said my last name correctly. So.
Alex is founder and CEO of Sales Boomerang. And he's your innovator, entrepreneur, passionate about people. I love that. You started with people, marketing, communication, and tech. And Sales Boomerang has built the industry's sort of first and most comprehensive borrower intelligence platform. And I'm sure as we run through this, Alex, you'll tell us a little more, in fact, show us sort of what the platform is and what it does for the industry and lenders. You're a 40 under 40 winner from the NMP magazine, and Sales Boomerang was listed among the top 100 tech firms revolutionizing digital lending. So Alex, welcome, and excited about the partnership we have here. Lots of cool things to come, and some of which I think we'll get a sneak peek of in this episode. Also,
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Welcome. And Joe Siebert, Nomis' own lending leader. He is launching us into U.S. mortgage, taking a lot of the work that we've done on the retail banking side and rolling it out into the industry. So Joe, super excited to have you here. Joe ran product pricing, credit, pretty much seemingly everything for Ally, launched their product line in mortgages from the ground up. And prior to that, a number of years at a bank, a lender you might have heard of, Bank of America. So again, welcome both of you. Super excited to be here. Let's dive
He's
right
also
in.
the BB-8 whisperer.
Right.
So with that, we'll have a series of questions. This should be an interesting dialogue. We will, in fact, show you some software, but fundamentally talk about why we're doing matters and talk about kind of how you compete in 21. So the very first question, let's start with consumers. What are consumers up to? How are they shopping for a loan? How is some of that behavior changing through COVID? We've known that there's a trend, there's a digital trend that's been underway for some time, but what have you learned, Joe, maybe starting with you, on what we know about how they make choices and how some of those decisions and choices may be changing through 2020 and COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Prashant. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest change from COVID, and everyone can agree, is that I used to have small toys on my desk, and now I can bring large toys with me to work. So dramatically changing the world today. But no, you're right. Things are extremely different today, and while hopefully there becomes some sense of normalcy going forward, obviously a lot of things from COVID are going to stick with us going forward. So the biggest things when we talk about consumers are getting more savvy, and that's a fantastic thing, right? You want to have smart customers that really understand the product that you're offering. And because of that, they also have the ability to shop against what you're offering them really, really quickly online, right? So whether they're walking into a branch that you have, or they're doing, an application with you at 2 in the morning on your point of sale, the ability for them to pop out their phone and shop and see, is this a fair offer, is way, way more advanced than it was, 6 months ago, plus a couple of years before that. And given that, customers understand what they're looking at. Right, when the LE came out, everyone was like, oh, customers are going to be able to look at 2 LEs and understand everything. And obviously that wasn't necessarily the case. But I think in today's world, they absolutely do, right? They understand the features. They're getting savvy about rate and points and trade-offs and all of these things. So the ability to get the right customer, that right product at that right price, is even more critical than ever. Because if you can't make that three-way match, you're not going to have that customer going forward.
That's a great point, Joe. So I think we did a survey right when COVID was starting to break. This is back in the March, April timeframe. And some of the stats that came out of it were quite clear, right? A lot of transparency in the market, especially with so much information now available. There's effectively a smarter borrower, right, in the market. And as you can see, one of the things that got highlighted was their ability to compare and shop for the right offer, the best offer for them, has become so much easier than before. So, Alex, smart borrower, smart consumers, what's happening on the lender side?
Hey, we gotta meet people where they're at, right? If you have a smart borrower, you better have a smart lender, right? And so it's very important that in this shift where consumers have access to all of this information, that lenders understand that they're no longer dealing with someone guessing and hoping that you tell them the truth. In many cases, they already know what the truth is. And so you have to meet them where they're at. And you want to become a smart lender, right? And a smart lender is someone that understands their customer. So a smart lender is someone that knows the reason their borrower is contacting them in the first place. They're not guessing. They understand. Now, if it's a net new borrower, of course, that makes sense. You have to learn about them. But if it's somebody that's inside your database, someone you've dealt with before, you should know the reason they're reaching out to you. As a matter of fact, a smart lender, the best lenders in the country, are those lenders that know before their borrower reaches out that they're going to reach out and why they're reaching out and how they can manage that. So smart lenders are those lenders that understand their customers, that understand the landscape, that understand what is happening to their customer base, and what are some of the reasons somebody may reach out. Now, some people may reach out simply because they want to take advantage of low rates. Some people may be wanting to use the low rate for a specific purpose, maybe not to refinance, but maybe make some other investment decisions. And that's what smart lenders are doing. Smart lenders are understanding that. And when they're hearing from their customers, they're listening, and they're able to advise using some of the amazing the data points that you guys provide and create sort of this synergistic approach with their borrowers and saying, hey, here's why you're here, here's what you want, here's the best opportunity for you. So the biggest point I can make in this scenario that we're talking about right now is make sure that you understand your customer base and why they're reaching out, and not just for the simple reason of, hey, I want a low rate, that may not be the only reason somebody's reaching out. They may want to use the low rate for a personal reason that's sort of weighing on them, or an advantage they're trying to take in this environment. So it's important to know that if your borrower is smart, you have to be as smart or smarter. We would recommend smarter.
So smart borrowers, smart lenders.
Smart lenders. Yeah.
And hopefully, as you said, right, do they know the truth, and hopefully they can handle the truth. All right. So I think staying on that topic, right, which is how are lenders responding? So clearly having the kinds of intelligence that, Sales Boomerang provides, Nomis provides, is going to be a key piece of the puzzle. But Joe, maybe sort of build on that. What else are you seeing our lenders and customers sort of do and take to again, respond to the changes?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, that's a great point, right? Because you need to be as smart or smarter, and a lot of that comes down to how you interact with the customers, how you understand how they think about price, because obviously price is extremely important, but isn't the whole scenario. So exactly like Alex was saying, you need to understand those customer needs and get to that solution-based selling, and it's not obviously always about having the best price, because only one person, out of the 10,000 lenders has the best price. But when you get to that solutions-based selling and understanding what's the right price for this customer, it really helps you convert, right, lead to app, and then make sure everyone goes through the funnel. And with that comes a big focus on technology, right? It's great to, say these things and have playbooks, but having technology that enables you to understand the customer, know what they're looking for, and then be able to get the right price to that right customer is so critical. And lenders are really doubling down on this, right? And obviously not all lenders, to throw out a crazy math equation, only 50% of the people out there are growing faster than average. So obviously that's how averages work. But only 50% of people, right, can win at most. And it's really that technology and innovation that enables their strategy that helps them get there. Right? Anyone can, throw 100 applications against the wall, but you have the ability to know what the customer needs, get that customer the right price, and make sure more of those fund than your competitors. That's really what it's about.
Very cool. Technology, innovation, having better information, more intelligence at your fingertips, clearly important. So Joe, you talk to customers all the time, every day, and we'll go back to Alex in a second. Just maybe sort of build on what are some of the things that that you see them doing in kind of the Nomis context, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest things is segmenting the market more granularly from a price sensitivity and customer base standpoint. So we work with all sorts of lenders, right, from the largest ones out there all the way down to new, fintech startups that are really trying to make a name for themselves. And it's really about that smart pricing. And not everyone does the same thing. But if you can go from, right, a national price to a state price, or a state price to an MSA price, or if you can understand that you can have different adders and different LLPAs based on different people's price sensitivities, those are some of the biggest things, right, that we help customers get to. And the other thing is the time-based element and the market competitiveness element. Right, obviously price goes up and price goes down, and no one can predict, where price goes, but margins also play into that. And one of the biggest trends we see with customers is there's obviously been a huge focus for a long time on, right, the secondary marketing component and a lot of modeling and sophistication on the secondary marketing component, but there hasn't been as much on the margin component. Right, you spend all this time figuring out best X, where it should go, all your investors, and then margins kind of get peanut buttered across. What we've seen, right, with our customers and what we help them do is be smarter about those margins, right? Those are your final prices to your customers, and they shouldn't just be the same across the board, right? You can go into 2 grocery stores, right, and get the same carton of milk for different prices, and not that, you need to go that granular, but there's absolutely segments that you should understand from a price sensitivity, product sensitivity standpoint, regions that really like one product that don't like another, or other regions really like a different product. You can't just treat everybody the same, right? Getting back to that customer, be tailored, be focused on your customer, understand them, and with that comes, right, sophistication on margins, and bringing those two together is really the trend we've seen with our customers over these past 6-12 months.
That's great, and I know you'll jump into the solution and show us a few things in a little bit. So again, understand your customer, sort of know me, value me, reward me, right, is a good way to think about it. So that is cool. Alex, your take on this. I know, again, talk to customers all the time.
Yeah.
What are you picking up?
And you know, I want to stand here and shout out how brilliant your system is, and you're going to get to that in a second, Joe. But I want to take a different approach. You will, honestly. Well, you guys hear this. Listen, if you haven't heard of Nomis, you haven't worked with me, you're about to see something special in a minute. But I'll let that secret come out of the bag in just a moment. But here's what's important. It's you know, Joe just mentioned you can go to any grocery store and get a gallon of milk, and maybe there's a little price difference. But let me tell you what makes a real difference. When you go to that grocery store and you go to pick up the gallon of milk, that grocery store says, hey, don't come out of your car. We know you're not feeling comfortable. Sit in your car. We'll put the carton of milk in the back seat. We'll put the carton of milk in your trunk for you. You never have to worry about anything. Now, is what smart lenders are doing. If you are not looking at what this environment has done, if you're not incorporating digital mortgage, just completely a digital experience, an online experience for everything that you're doing, you're missing the mark, right? Because look, you can meet people in person and they're going to wear masks, but they're still going to be curious and cautious about what's about to happen. But that grocery store that says, look, you never have to come in and pick up your groceries, we'll have them all prepared for you, that's the winner today. So just look in the mirror. That's all you have to do. Look in the mirror. Are you making it easy for people to go and do what they want to do with your business, or are you making it complicated? Are you making people's hearts race? I don't know if I'm going to see them, if they're going to be masked. Are they going to make me come in and give people hugs? I don't know. So think about that. The behavior change is this. They need you to comply and fit into the environment that we're in right now. If you're not doing that, you're going to have people that are just going to go somewhere else for the time being, and you don't want that. You do not want your customer going somewhere else because it's convenient today to possibly come back to you tomorrow, because let me tell you, they'll never come back to you. They won't. Once they find a convenient source, that's where they're staying. So fit in, work with the environment that you're in. If you haven't done that, you're going to see the behavior change. You're going to look and you're going to be like, hey, we had the most amazing year. 2021 comes. Why are we down by a fifth of what we were doing last year? That's because you were just responding to the action of refinance and you weren't thinking about the longevity of this business. So meet your customers head on, right? And be there for them and make sure the behavioral change, which is I want to trust the people that I'm with. I want to know that they have my back, and you want to meet them where they're at. That's all. That example of going to a grocery store and getting a gallon of milk, the difference is one is going to bring it out, put it in your trunk where you feel safe. The other one is going to make you come in, make you wash your hands, make you take a shower when you get home. That's the big difference, right? And you want to meet them where your customers are at. So,
love that, Alex. Meet them where they are. It's product, price, obviously, but ultimately it's about the experience, about the service delivering. So, very cool.
It is.
All right. Let's keep sort of chugging along now. We are in a certain sort of rate environment, a certain cycle. It's going to change, right? There's a bit of a refi boom. I heard somebody say, right, we're on the refi drug, and that's going to go away. That's going to change. Now, you need to be able to navigate the cycle, the market, regardless of where the cycle in the market is. And how do you do that? How do you identify those profitable opportunities in the right markets, right? So how do you actually sort of figure that out? What do you need, whether from a mindset standpoint or from a intelligence, data, technology standpoint, to be able to navigate that? So maybe, Joe, sort of kick us off, talk to us about sort of how that is, how you see that happening today.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is exactly that. Pricing is absolutely an art and a science put together, right? And the best artists can do the best jobs, but not if there's not the best underlying science underneath it, right? So a lot of the things we do are we break down the problem into competitive intelligence, market intelligence, and then margin management to be able to, number one, right, understand what your competitors are doing, how they're reacting, and why, then understand what the market is doing, and then go in and manage your margins accordingly to be as competitive as you need to be in each area, because you might see competitors becoming capacity constrained in one area and not in another. You might see price sensitivity changing and spiking. So it's really about taking those three elements and putting them together so you're not being reactive, right? It's all about taking pricing and having this proactive approach to, I want to accomplish X. Okay, let me visually see what I need to do to accomplish X, and then help me do that really quickly, right? Don't make me go in and analyze, 50 core competitors and 100 different MSAs line by line and manually figure out where I want to be. Digest, right, tens of millions of records for me and understand and tell me this is what's going on in the world, so I can then put the art on top of the sound science that's underneath it. And I think that's really the biggest thing, is bringing those three together. I think you're on mute still.
Oh. We've launched something that has frankly been quite revolutionary, right? In terms of sort of taking that problem and simplifying it, making it digestible, but at the same time delivering the intelligence. Do you want to maybe give us a couple of examples? I know we have a quote here from a customer, but talk through and then maybe jump into the application, show us a few things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, I mean, just to give everyone a second to take a look at the quote, right? Having that real-time color when they're competing is so important. And also when you're recruiting, right? You want to have the best LOs out there competing against the other best LOs, right? You don't just want the guys that no one else wanted. So to have tools that enable, right, better sales, better pricing, better, again, lead to app and then app to fund conversion are so critical, right? So like in this quote, right, activity alerts that shows you what's going on, not just day to day, but during the day as well, right? So from an example, right, we have customers that will look at the system throughout the day and realize that their competitiveness level is changing, and as a result, they'll do one of two things. They will adjust their margins, or they'll adjust their staffing or their price exception behavior, or how they're looking at capacity to run their business better. So absolutely, there's a ton of things. So yeah, let me go ahead and share and jump right in and kind of walk through, this is the way that people think about it. All right, share my screen. All right, are you seeing the right screen with the tool?
You see, Joe, it's good.
Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah, in this tool, when you hit screen share, it just says choose a screen, doesn't show you what's on each screen. All right, perfect. So yeah, let's take a look. I don't know, they both look the same. Just a generic icon of a
They're like, wait a second, are we watching my Netflix account right now?
Right. It's like, oh wow, hey, the market just went negative. That's crazy. Which actually did just happen. So it's so great. So yeah, looking at this, right? There's a lot in here, right? And I'm not necessarily going to hit on everything, but the real goal is taking what customers do today, right? Lenders are smart. People have process. There's a strategy. How can you take what your strategy is today and then do what you need to do better, faster, quicker? Are you priced where you think you're priced? And that's what this kind of high-level dashboard does. And we're going to take a look at super granular data and then high-level data, because you need a mix of both to run your business. So what we're seeing here is 40 million records a day of data streaming in real time throughout the day. And this is the production instance. All the data is right streaming in as I'm clicking on it. So hopefully my home internet is good, which we'll see. But essentially what you want to see is snapshots of the market, right? So hey, I want to look at purchase or a specific product, right? Go through those 40 million records. Tell me what's the best, what's the median? Do I want to be 1 basis point better than the median? Do I want to be in a certain decile or a certain quartile, right? Or do all I really care about is what's the par rate in this rep line? And what it allows you to do is go through, in this case, 359 lenders at a rep line by rep line level and see how they're priced, right? An ever-growing amount of data that we have to let you analyze the market. So if I'm looking at this, and maybe I want to look at a specific credit score, and now I'm looking at how the market is distributed, I can go in and I can look through all of these lenders, what's their APR, or, in this rep line, what's everyone's par rate look like. So it'll go through and, oh, wow, like, I don't know, are mortgages a commodity? Clearly not, right? Because there are dramatically different par rates from different lenders on the same rep line. And the really cool thing about this, from a named lender standpoint, is this isn't, right, a homogeneous group of lenders. These are the largest lenders and the largest banks out there, the largest IMBs out there, the smallest guys, the newest guys, the consumer direct guys, and the community banks, because the goal is every market is different, right? Like we were talking about, be smart and be smarter than your customer. Well, if you have a shop and you're only comparing yourself to the shop next door to you that looks identical, guess what? That's not what your customer is doing, right? Your customer is going in and saying, hey, I can see 400 other prices from 400 other lenders, super easy. And you know what? There's a bank branch right next to a community bank, right next to an IMB shop, right next to 50 other places that I can look. So this allows you to digest and say, hey, you know what? If I want to be in, the second decile, with everyone that's better than me, everybody that's worse than me, and let me, filter and go deep. Again, really looking at the whole market, because you need to understand the whole market. And obviously there's different cost structures from banks versus IMBs, and we know LOs get paid different in those channels. But if you're going to say, hey, I'm just going to close my eyes to the other 50% of the market, again, guess what? Your customer's not closing your eyes to the other 50% of the market. So we found, again, everything from the smallest lenders to the largest lenders getting information about this. And that's really, really what it's about. So I'll click on a couple other tabs, real quick. If I go into the detail on Research Lab, what you're going to see is all of the data underlying what we're looking at. So again, sometimes you need to look deep, right? I want to go and I want to see rate and points and monthly payment and APR and fees for every single rep line, right? I want to look at all of those lenders. I'll, pick on my old friends and just take a look and say, what's out there in the market. And now it's, hey, purchase, fixed, 30, 70 LTV, 750 credit, $5 million loan, right? In this case, in West Virginia, tons of those, and conforming for Ally. And then I'm going to see every iteration, right? So I can essentially, and this is all timestamped, every hour flowing in. So I'm going to be able to look at all of this data for different lenders, different products, right? I want to go into different loan amounts. I want to look at not just people's par rates. I want to look at who's competitive at what different places in the stack. I want to look at LTVs. I want to look at credit. And I can rewind time and say, hey, there was just a massive move. Let me rewind time by 2 hours and see, hey, what did, name any lender, right? What did that lender do prior to that market disruption and then after? Did they pass that through to their customers? Are they capacity constrained and they kept that extra margin? Being able to kind of rewind time and see the market is hypercritical. But really, right, Prashant, to answer the question on markets being different, that's really where Margin Monitor comes into play. So you can look at the market and you can look at your competitors, but can you digest, right, 40 million records a day and analyze them to show pricing differentials and different prices in the market? And that's what this does. And there is a lot on here, and don't worry about every column, so let's, focus on states. So again, this works and clicks through however you want to click through, but let's just think of states. If I'm looking at these states right now, and I haven't clicked on a rep line, I'm just looking at the whole market, what this tells me is, say my base margin is 300. And if I had 300 basis points of margin in Massachusetts, I could essentially add these additional margins in these regions up to 80 more basis points, right? I should be equally as competitive in those places. So a 300 margin in Massachusetts should be equally as competitive as 331 in Delaware. So right off the bat, I know, hey, I can price higher in some places and have the same market share. Now, obviously, the goal isn't just to have the same market share everywhere, but what that also means is if I want to go into Delaware and I want to be more aggressive than I am, I don't go from 300 to 250. I could go from 300 to 310, and now I'm 21 basis points more aggressive in Delaware than I was in Massachusetts by increasing my margin as I go into that. Again, this is right from a high level, but you can click in to every cell as you go. Right? Hey, I just want to look at refis, and I just want to look at 30-year fixed, and all 40 million records are being analyzed in real time in that second. And you know what? I just care about $200,000 refi, 30-year fixed, and now let me see the price sensitivities. And you know what? They're different, right? Different places have different price sensitivities at product level, purchase versus refi, loan amount, right? If I look here, now New York became the most price sensitive. If I click on, $500,000 loans against all real-time data, so who knows what I'm going to see, right? Massachusetts drops to number 3 on 500. And there are places where you will look at California, and they will be the least price sensitive, and you'll say, what's going on? And then you'll be like, oh, I'm looking at $100,000 loans in LA. Maybe I should look at larger loans, and you'll see they jump way up on price sensitivity. So being able to go and compete in markets at this level of granularity, this is what we're talking about when we say, right, you as a lender need to be smarter and meet your customer there because the customer knows the market. They've looked at the community bank, they've looked at the local IMBs, they've shopped online, right, they've gotten direct mail, they've gotten emails from brokers, they've seen all this stuff. And what we're looking at is that whole universe of pricing that customer is being bombarded with every day, and how can I take that and make smarter decisions? And just to kind of, show one or two more tabs real quick, what that helps us get into are things like activity alerts. So, lots of graphs, and just to kind of follow these purple dots on monthly as an example, what this shows is holding price constant, right? So pricing changes happen, that's taken into account. So separate from pricing changes, you will see there is a cyclicality every month, week, and day to margin changes. And if you're at, again, 300 basis points on the 7th of the month versus 300 on the 11th, you will be way less competitive on the 11th day of the month when people are out there competing fiercely than on the 7th. So you haven't done anything. Pricing changes, could have gone up, could have gone down, whatever. But margins compress as the month goes on, right? And then again, like you see at the end of the month also, right? LOs back off. LOs start to say, hey, I need to close loans. Let me make sure I close these loans so I get paid. And they start to help with that. And you can see competitiveness goes down. And then it spikes back up. These are the insights that people put together and start to look through and say, hey, I really need to be smarter about what I do. So customers we work with, we don't go in there and tear apart their process and say, hey, you need to do things completely different, right? It is, what are you looking to do? How are you looking to do that? And then how can we help you be better, faster, smarter? And then if you want to dig in deeper, right, definitely go ahead, dig in deeper and say, okay, we want to go MSA level, or I need, different FICO cuts, different LTV cuts, different loan amount cuts, right? Customers that we work with that have these dramatically different loan amount cuts because they find these price differentials at these odd loan amounts, and working with them to put these small changes into place. I was going to hit on Market Pulse, sorry. Didn't mean to click after that. And you'll see things like that within the Market Pulse tab, right? So Market Pulse is going to have you go down to MSA level information. So, I was looking nationally, I was looking at states, I was looking at raw data, but, I want to see MSAs. I want to see that San Francisco is different from LA, is different from the rest of California. That the DC MSA, which has part of Maryland and part of Virginia in it, is different from the rest of Maryland and the rest of Virginia, right? And how can I go through, again, all of this data and figure out what I need to do? That's really, right, what we're there to help customers get to. And again, tons of other tabs, making custom views, defend your portfolio, all sorts of different things. I'll show this one real quick just because I mentioned it, but right, defend your portfolio is obviously important also. So looking at things like prepay risk and just being able to visually see, hey, there is higher prepay risk in certain cells than others is huge, right? You don't want to poke the bear on your whole portfolio. You just want to poke the bear on the people you're worried about refining. How can I see that by MSA, by product, by loan amount, super quick? Great, this helps you get to that point. So it probably went longer than I planned, but I'm super excited about the topic, obviously. But those are the kind of things, right, for Sean, that says how can lenders get more sophisticated to meet the customer where they want to be, and pricing how they need to be priced to actually fund is such a big component of that.
Joe, that was awesome, and clearly your sort of passion coming through. This is great. See what the customer sees, right? Meet the customer where they are, where they need to be. And how do you use big data, technology, all of this awesome power that is now available to us to simplify, right, and deliver that to our customers, to lenders. So thank you. And Alex, the borrower's perspective, right? Clearly, lots of things coming from this side. What is the borrower's perspective on it? And I know Sales Boomerang is doing some pretty neat things there as well.
Well, first of all, let's just take a time out. And everyone, for just a minute, raise your glass for honestly, what Nomis has done. Look, I was waiting to press enter on this. Yes, Shelly's about to write something. Yes, Shelly. Cheers. Seriously. Joe, wow. Honestly, come on now. Guys, this is beautiful, right? This is what this industry's been waiting for. And here's Nomis on the white horse like a knight in shining armor bringing all this to us, right? And so why we wanted to work with you guys so much is because exactly what you just showed. It's brilliant. And I want to show you guys what it means to take all of that brilliance and then completely automate the process, right? And so, look, let's take a look. I'm gonna you're sharing. Let me take over the screen in just a minute here. So just look. Thank you. Let me just share this real quick. Let me grab my screen. Desktop. Perfect. You guys can see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So look, first of all, the reason we raised the glass for Joe and Nomis is because they've done something we've always wanted. The industry's always wanted. They wanted insight. Am I priced right? Am I priced fairly? What should I do? This area, that area. Could I make more? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the person across the street is doing something better. So I'm going to go as low as I can. Coming to find out, they were twice as high as I was, and I was making a mistake. I could have been making money the whole time. So here's what we've done. The brilliance of Nomis, okay, the brilliance and absolute wonderful things that they've designed, we've ingested all of that information, and we said, look, what if we take it one step further, okay? We here at Sales Boomerang focus on borrower intelligence and creating an experience that you, the lender, and the borrower can align on, right? It's about having alignment. And so here's the idea. Imagine this, okay? Imagine being able to say, hey, let me know. Instead of looking for the information, all that Nomis information is pumping into Sales Boomerang. Instead of just going out to look for it, you can now say, hey, when this specific formula comes together, notify me so I can notify my borrower, okay? So here's an example, right? You can get a notification on someone saying, hey, this person is qualified for this particular loan right now. This person can save $210 a month based on their current interest rates, based on their current FICO, based on their current equity, based on their current property value, based on all of these things come together. And all you have to do is you have to say, hey, Sales Boomerang, tell me when there is a benefit for this borrower. And we have this amazing intelligence coming from Nomis with all the other things combined. And then you get to know the most important time for your borrower to get a phone call. Now think about this. If you have this information, if you're able to tell when you can help your borrower, then you're able to schedule future loans, okay? Think about that for a minute. Take a step back, okay? Get out of your world for just a minute. Go crazy for a minute, all right? Just go crazy for a minute. Right now, in mortgage, it is do a loan, call me back when you need another loan. Do a loan, hopefully you remember me when the next loan comes. That is a century-old way of doing business. Let's get into 2020. Let's get into 2021, right? Let's go into the future for a minute. What do we want? What do we want as consumers? Let's not be mortgage people for just a minute. For just 1 minute, let's not be mortgage professionals and let's be consumers. What do we want? I'll tell you what we want. We want to know when we can benefit from a better financial vehicle. And Nomis has absolutely perfected the process of doing that, and Sales Boomerang recognized it, and that is why we're working together. We're working together for Chi Evans, right? Let's look at this together. What is your experience as a lender? Okay, let's look at this. You'll be able to go into Sales Boomerang, and you know that we're ingesting Nomis information, and you're going to be able to go in here and say, look, I want to be able to do a conventional rate and term, okay? When my borrower can benefit from a loan is when they're 7.5%, 0.5, right, from their current loan, or for a 15-year, it's 0.5%. They need to have a FICO of 680, no bankruptcies in 48 months, you can set this up for whatever you want, by the way. This is just an example. Whatever you want to do, 48 months, 84 months for foreclosure, no missed payments in the last 12 months, right? All of these things, you can schedule this, and the moment your borrower meets all of that criteria, you get notified. Now that's cool. That's really cool. But imagine being able to tell your borrower, Mr. or Mrs. Borrower, we just did this loan for you right here. Your next best loan is blank. And the moment you are qualified for the next best loan, we'll call you. You don't have to call us. Let's go back to the 1940s and 1950s for a minute. You remember what happened there? We all had trusted bankers. We would go in with our wife and or our husband and our kids, and we'd sit down and we'd talk. We say, hey, we really want to kind of invest in this business. And the bank would look at you and say, hey, Alex, you look like, you've been banking with us for 30 years. I know you personally. I've been to your personal barbecues, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I will extend a loan for you for this amount of money. That time is gone because we don't have time to meet with people like that. But Nomis has made it possible to identify the best possible rate, the best possible price for people. And Sales Boomerang has put all the other pieces together so that you can go back to having that trusted experience without having to get to know everybody over decades, right? That's how we used to know each other. So with Sales Boomerang, the prescriptive alerts are completely powered by the Nomis system of being able to set certain targets and say, hey, let me know when my borrower reaches this, or for cash out, same thing. It's all the same across the board, right? You can be notified across the board the same way and say, hey, when can I help my borrower? Oh, my borrower can take their $60,000 in debt and they have enough equity to pay for that debt. Fantastic. They have the right rate to take advantage of this. Fantastic, right? That is the partnership. That is the purpose of creating a smart lender that's powered by the smartest data in the industry. And there's no smarter data. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't heard of Nomis, if you haven't looked at this, that's why we're doing this together. There's nobody smarter in the way they approach pricing than Nomis, and that's why we're using them to power and partnering them to power all of our intelligent alerts around prescriptive scenarios. Because there's nobody that's keeping tabs on the details of what happens on a day-to-day basis like Nomis does. So, look, honestly, I could talk about this for hours because I'm so impressed by everything they've done. But I wanted to make it clear, okay? Step back. Take a step back. Take a look at your business and understand that your customers are smarter than ever, and you have to meet them where they are. And at this point today, you shouldn't tell them, please call me when you're ready for another loan. No. What you should do is schedule that loan today for 2 years from now and be confident that Nomis and Sales Boomerang are going to notify you when that person is ready for that loan. Just saying. That's how excited I am.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. That is amazing. No, thank you for sharing, Alex. And I mean, everything at Sales Boomerang just so spot on with that advocating for the customer, right? I've always spent, my career saying exactly that, right? The customers are getting smarter, so the lenders need to be smarter. Let's make things for the lenders. And right when we met, pre-COVID at a conference, I saw your stuff and it was just so fantastic. Right? Here's a system that is literally out there to advocate for the customer, to help them be smarter, right? Literally a system that's there, not just, hey, let's focus on everything internally at the bank, But hey, we're going to, like you said, tell you when your next best offer comes up, which is so perfect, right? Lenders should want smart customers, and you help customers get to that point. It's phenomenal.
Exactly right.
That is mind blown. Intelligence, automation, customers win, lenders win. This is pretty neat. All right, it feels like we are already in the future. So let's talk about the future. Again, what are the couple of things that you leave the audience with for how they continue to grow, no matter the market, no matter the condition, right? So who wants to take this first, Joe or Alex?
So look, let me jump in for just a minute. Sorry, Joe. So
No, go for it.
And it's not the ride talking, okay? I want to share a story with you. There's a reason why you see this name on the screen right now. This is so brilliant. So please be honest with yourself. When you ask yourself, is this moment a short-lived moment in life where we went from doing 200 loans a month to 500 loans a month, from 1,000 loans a month to 2,000 loans a month, and we're saying to ourselves, hey, check this out. In 2021, we'll go back to normal, right? We're going to fire all the people we hired, and we're going to go from doing the volume we did back to the volume we did back in 2019. If you're saying that to yourself, and please be honest, just thumbs up, smiley face, sad face, whatever you want to do. Let us know that you're listening, because here's the important part of what we're about to say. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. We spoke to one of the most brilliant lenders in the country today. I know all of you know them. I know all of you look up to them. Their leadership is brilliant. But here's what is the best part about the way they think about business and why they've gotten to the level they've gotten. When they look at business, they don't say, well, we'll take advantage of this market and we'll go back to normal after this. You know what they say? This is the new normal. The fact that we're doing more than we've ever done today does not mean we go back to where we were before. This is the new normal. American Pacific, Kurt, Bill, all of them, okay? They all look at their business and say, look, the fact that we've gotten to a certain new level, that's our new floor. And all of you should be looking at your team and saying, hey, this is our new normal. If we go back, we failed. So this is our new normal. And this is what a company like this is doing. By the way, they're not the only one. I'm just bringing them up because they're doing it brilliantly. But this is the new normal. The new normal is this. We've gotten to this volume. How do we sustain it? Oh, wait a second, Alex, but the refi business is going to die soon. Yeah, that's an excuse. That's a reason to go backwards. That's a reason to go backwards. How are you going to sustain this growth? You're either going to back up and say this is the normal thing, or you're going to take a step forward and say this is our launching pad. This is our springboard to the new normal. And the new normal is double the volume that we did last year. And we're never going back. And the way you do that is becoming a smart lender. You incorporate things. And look, yes, you're on here with Nomis and Sales Boomerang. So why wouldn't I talk about us, right? You go and incorporate smart partners like Nomis. You go and incorporate smart partners like Sales Boomerang. And you say, this is not the end of our growth. This is the beginning of where we're going. And this company right here, I won't share the details because I don't want to share their details. It's personal. But I'm telling you right now, they're never going back to what they did in 2019, ever. They have made a commitment that every person they hired is going to be part of their team moving forward. That means they're not giving up on this volume. And so this is the way you need to look at it. You have to ask yourself questions. What do we do? How do we do? Oh, but wait a second. The refi boom is going to die. But you have a database of customers that still are going to need loans. There's people out there that need loans for you. There are people that are calling you, and you're not sure how to price things. You do now. Nomis will help you, right? And so the purpose of this whole conversation, the only reason we've decided to do this, the only reason we have partnered with MBA to reach all of you today is to help you understand that this isn't a short-lived experience, that this is literally a springboard for all those people that have the right state of mind to go, hey, this is where I go forward. This is how I compete. This is how I buy up all those people that don't know what they have and make it part of my business. This is how I outcompete my competitors and how I position myself for extreme growth and extreme success moving forward. And so this organization that you see on screen, they've done that. But they're not the only ones. Joe can tell you about some. I can tell you about some more. I'm telling you right now, people are looking at this industry and going, hey, every single borrower that we get right now is a customer for life. No borrower left behind, right? They're a customer for life. How are we going to be there for them? And how do we support our existing team that's behind us that are doing all of these loans? Get creative, get uncomfortable, but the most important thing is find the right partners. Joe and Nomis, right partner. Sales Boomerang, right partner. There's a lot of great partners, but if you find the right partners, you never have to go backwards. The people that are going backwards are the people that are saying, oh, it's short-lived, and the self-fulfilling prophecy. If it's short-lived, it'll be short-lived. The people that believe this is a springboard will make it a springboard. Where do you sit? Are you a springboard or are you going backwards? That's the only question, right? Are you going backwards or are you going forward? That's it. So this example right here, and I'll stop talking after this, this example right here is a group that's never going backwards. They have propelled themselves to a new level and they're never going down because they've taken advantage of this environment and they're going to take every possible opportunity to squeeze the juice out of all of this environment that has to offer. So, Joe, I'll leave it to you now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was fantastic. And right, it really is a springboard moment. Right there have been other inflection points in the industry before, right? And the inflection points always work the same way, exactly like Alex just said. Right, during the financial crisis, obviously there was a lot of rep and warrant exposure and TDRs, and people were taking losses. No one knew what to do, right? I was working on the countrywide acquisition at the time. So in the mix of what was going on, and Alex is exactly right, you can't say, oh no, things will be better, things will change in the future, or things won't be like this in the future. Right, in that case it was, this is the new normal, how do we behave? And if you look at all the lenders that were out there at that time, a lot of them thought the same thing and doubled down and invested in technology. Right, it was a time of pain, a lot was going on, you know, remember back right to that time and say, did it feel like this was the end? There were countries going into bankruptcy, unemployment was super high here, but in places like Spain, right, out of control. And to say, wow, the world is different now. Okay, well, we're going to take that and we're going to double down in technology. So when things revert back, we're going to be better. And if you look, you know, 5, 6, 7 years after that, a lot of lenders were way better, way more technology advanced, and a lot were just left in the dust. And now this is not, you know, so far later, right, 10, 11 years later, there's another inflection point, right? And exactly like Alex said, are you going to do that springboard and double down again and move forward, or did you get left behind in the past, and are you going to get left behind again and then be even more behind? And I think realizing that is so important. Right, it is constantly changing, constantly becoming a new normal out there. And if you're not investing and adapting and growing, you're being left behind. And this is another one of those moments.
Joe, Alex, well put. Double down and invest. Use this as a springboard. Those are exactly, hopefully, the messages that the audience is taking away. And before we go to Q&A, just to make the investment a little easier, Nomis, especially for Sales Boomerang customers and our partners, the rest of 2020, guys, is on us. Look at the awesome technology that we have and sign up, and you'll find that this, you know, is one of the springboards that you need to launch into 2021. So with that, Amanda, questions from the audience?
Looks like a couple of folks are typing, but I did get a couple of questions through email. So let me ask the first one here. How long do you think rates will stay as they are?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting, right, it's an interesting question. And I think the real answer is you need to be ready for change at any given moment, right? If you rewind 2 years, rates were low and we were saying, how long can this last? Eventually it's going to be a purchase market. And then it went the other way and rates went even lower, right? And obviously they can't stay this low forever. But what you have to do is you have to be ready to adapt. Exactly like Alex was saying before, it wasn't, hey, these were the good old days and they're never going to happen again. So you need to plan as if rates are going to go up. It's going to shift to a purchase market. Do you have that technology? A purchase transaction is much more of a relationship transaction, right? Are you there? Are you ready? And do you understand your customers? So I would say, right, instead of guessing at when are they going to change, because, right, it could go any direction, and, you know, everyone knows people are going to guess all different directions. The real point is you need to start to be ready today for that change, regardless of what happens. And offline, I'll tell you my real predictions when I'm not being recorded. But that's the message.
All right, let's see. I got another one here. Realistically, how often are you seeing lenders change their rates? Is it really that different from previous years?
Yeah, I mean, on my side, absolutely, right? It is, obviously, right, rates change when price changes, but if we're talking, right, margins, absolutely. As technology evolves, the ability for people to change their margins more frequently is ever growing. Whether you're getting triggers and alerts that you're out of the market in certain places, but even, like I said, we have customers that have time-based LLPAs on margins baked into their systems that adjust as they go. So what I'll say is obviously 100% of the industry is not doing that. We have clients that lock them in for a quarter and come back and look at them later. What I'll say to those customers are, if you're going to do that, right, or to everyone out there that does that, it's even more important that you pick the right margin, because ever increasingly you will have people that are constantly changing, constantly adapting. So you should make sure that you're picked in the right place. But absolutely, right? You look back 10 years, and I didn't see people doing time-based LLPAs during the day. There were shops that knew at certain times of day, add or subtract, but not in this automated, super sophisticated fashion like we're seeing today. And even if it's, right, 10, 20, 30% of lenders that do that, and I do believe it will go higher, but even if it doesn't, right, 30% of the market, those are now the market makers on where price needs to be, and you need to pay attention to that.
Great, thank you. Can you explain a little more on how you can protect your portfolio with this kind of data?
So yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's for you, Joe, or me, but Joe, jump in if you want to. When you say protect your current customer base with this sort of data, I'm imagining you're asking, how do I retain as many customers as possible and give them a better experience than they've ever had before? That's how I see things, okay? And so if that's what you're asking, you can write a note in the chat just to make sure I'm answering the right question. Look, this is not, no offense, ready? This is not your grandfather's mortgage industry. It's not. Your grandfather worked in a place where there was files and you had to look through things and you had to figure things out. Guys, we're not there anymore. Like we're in a new place. We're in a new place where things like what Joe is talking about, what their company's doing, what we're doing is we're saying, come on now. Stop using a rotary phone. There's this involved. Like, you have options. You don't have to go back to what you used before. There's smart technology in place. And so how do you use this data to retain customers and make them loyal? Loyalty, the big L, is very important, right? Well, loyalty is very important. It doesn't exist in this industry, by the way. Loyalty is only 15% in this industry, and we want to make it 85%, right? And Joe feels the same way. Joe wants to make it 85%. He doesn't want people to shop everywhere. He wants them to shop with you. So how do you use this data to create a better experience for your existing customers is you explain to them why you are going to help them make the best financial decision for them. Let's back up for 1 second. What are you in business for? You're not in business to do loans. If you think you're in business to do loans, your life is short-lived. You're in business to guide people into the best financial vehicle for them. You're in business to guide people in the best financial vehicle for them. That's it. So how do you use this data to make sure you retain customers, retain loan officers, right? The best talent and the best customers is you let them know that you will understand what is best for them, right? You're not going to be like, okay, well, listen, I can get you a better price and I can charge you way more than somebody else just because. No. Hey, the most competitive price in this area is this, and I want to give it to you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go a quarter point below the most competitive price because I know I can. That's how you make your customers happy. You no longer have to guess. And again, when you partner up with the both of us, you get that experience without having to put in the information. You put it in once, and the system recognizes what's best for you and your borrower, and then it delivers it for you. It's Netflix. It's the future. It's autonomous cars. It's what it is. right? It's smart phones, smart lending. It's smart companies that have your back. So you always want to think about the following. How would you want to be treated? That's all I'll say. How do you want to be treated? You are your customer. You just don't know it, right? Because you're serving your customer. Turn the table. How do you want to be treated? You want to be told when you can be taken care of the best with as little action possible. That's how you want to be treated. So I hope that helps answer your question.
All right, our last question. When do you think this integration will be available to Sales Boomerang users?
Oh, good question. That sounds like a Sales Boomerang customer. It is available now in alpha testing, right, Joe? I think we're in alpha testing right now. So we have a few few lenders that are in it, and we're expanding it. So throughout Q4, we're going to be expanding it to more and more people, and in Q1, it's available to everyone. That's the game plan. But if you're interested, reach out to your customer success manager, and maybe they'll let you into the alpha test, and you can experience it for yourself. I recommend it. The results have been beautiful thus far. But reach out to us, and we'll make sure you get experience on it.
All right, thank you. Looks like maybe we have one more question coming in. Someone's typing. We are a couple minutes over. All right. Well, thank you so much, Prashant, Alex, and Joe. So before everybody exits the webinar, please take a few moments to answer our post-webinar evaluation poll questions. Please provide your honest feedback of what you thought of today's session. It helps us improve our webinar offerings and is very valuable to us. Thank you again to our presenters for taking the time to present today, and of course to the participants for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference